The next stop for the FARC Lowe Dollar Series Championship would be one of the most treacherous, the Vicker Collision and Glass 100 at the Grand Detour Raceway in Quincy, Illinois. Roy Warren took his first career Pro Laps pole award, making good use of it, holding off Billy Ray Smith-Thompson off of turn number 2. Entering turn 3, here comes Rick Forrest in the 60 with a run on the inside of the 2, making a little contact with Smith-Thompson as Roy Warren leads the first lap of the race, but a minor 2-car incident would lead to a restart in which Lev Azarov pounces, jumping from 3rd to the lead. The first casualty of the race would be Jim Kidd, out with a blown engine on lap 9. At the same time, Danica Hollifield goes for a spin after contact with Chuck Johnson, and Billy Bob Childers, up into the wall she goes, and she suffers yet another hard hit this season, this time from Kyle Pearson in the 78. Another small pileup ensues on lap 20. Elizabeth Cargill-Smith, getting out of shape off of turn 2, leads to this mess. Roy Warren is collected, Billy Bob Childers goes out, and so does Lev Azarov. He blows his engine from the lead, the second time in just a few weeks that's happened to him. This would hand the lead over to Alexa Lake, who now tries to get around the lap to number 64 of Mark Thompson. But on lap 33, points leader Zach Webster goes for a wild ride after contact with Kevin Monroe, flipping wildly down turn 4, but thankfully nobody hits him. So Zach Webster only climbs out of that car with dizziness. Scary moment for Todd Stater and Roy Warren. Stater gets turned right into the pit lane, smacking that wall hard. Roy Warren gets up into Elizabeth Cargill-Smith, and his day continues to go downhill after a great start. Alexa Lake gets up into the wall while being pursued by Brandon Crasta. Packer Carroll gets into the back of the 26, and everybody piles in on the front stretch. That's about 24 cars piled up at the entrance to turn 1. Here's another look at it. When you get turned in front of the whole field like that, there's not much you can do except hang on. Todd Stater's got the right idea, diving way to the inside, but everybody else not so lucky. Brandon Crasta emerges with the lead after what will probably be the biggest accident of the year took place entirely in his rearview mirror. Kevin Monroe and Packer Carroll fighting a little too hard for that 3rd spot, getting up into the wall, allowing Billy Ray Smith-Thompson to sneak by. Kurt Walker has a run on them as well. Alexa Lake trying to chase down Brandon Crasta, gets up into the wall and trapped behind the 181 of Dan Voiles. Chuck Johnson gave her the boot, and Smith-Thompson picks up another position. Rick Forrest had a great start to this race, but then got caught up in that huge pileup, and now his car comes to a stop on the inside of the front stretch, drawing a caution that Brandon Crasta really did not want to see, having to hold off the whole field now with 16 laps to go, and that's not going to help as he gets up into the wall. Here comes the 8 of Daryl Quick. He's running a lap down, gets right into the 42, and takes out his teammate, Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, who spins in front of everybody, and that number 2 Lennard is going to be done in by death by 1,000 paper cuts, basically, as everybody wants a piece of him. And now Chuck Johnson wants a piece of Brandon Crasta after the restart. Craston gets out of shape and up into the wall, allowing Chuck Johnson to escape with the lead. But now we got a couple contenders emerging who we haven't seen all day. Hunter Blaze now getting around the 46 for the lead. Here comes the 26 of Alexa Lake. She wants the lead back. And now here's the 113 of Aaron Coltier joining the fight. These guys are shuffling the lead so much you'd think it was a super speedway race. Johnson back around the 26, almost into the wall. The 26 has a run, but does the sportsman-like thing and doesn't run into the back of him, but that's going to kill her momentum. Chuck Johnson, the defending series champion, fighting for his first win of the year. Alexa Lake and Aaron Coltier fighting for their first career wins, but Chuck Johnson pulls out to enough of a lead to hang on and take his first win of the season. Brandon Crasta fell all the way to 6th in the closing laps, holding off Packer Carroll for that spot. Ashley Tucker was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Yevgeny Kuznetsov and Kurt Walker round out the top 10, finishing 1 lap down. Next, we headed up to Wisconsin to Road America for a 25-lapper around the longest course on the calendar. Lucas Sweeney back in the number 8 car, takes his second pole of the year over Chuck Johnson. He leads the field down into turn number 1, but we've got some trouble towards the back. Tim Burkhalter and Kevin Monroe get together. Gary Miles in the 80 goes spinning as well, but they don't hit anything. But we get our second first lap incident heading into Station 5. Riley Knight gets into the back of Billy Bob Childers, and now we have Liam O'Connor and Ashley Tucker going into the wall in the kink. Kelly Splicin in the 96 gets a piece of that. So 3 accidents on the first lap. More trouble for Riley Knight in Station 5 as she goes off the road on lap number 3. But it would be Rick Head, the first one out on lap 6. He started in the back, climbed all the way up to 19th, but his day is going to be over after getting some help from Winston Orwell. Lucas Sweeney, meanwhile, has pulled out to an untouchable lead before lap 10. Riley Knight has thrown her car off the road again, this time in Canada corner. And right behind her, Winston Orwell decides to join the party after getting into the back of Monica Rook. Truck Togger was running in 4th, but now his car has broken down. He tries to pull off, and Timothy Ruiz runs into the back of him, paying absolutely no attention whatsoever. But Truck Togger's going to get a tow back to the pits and get that car repaired. Lucas Sweeney takes himself out of the race, running into the lapped car of defending race winner Tristan Kristoff. Sweeney really looks like he misjudged how slow Kristoff was going, as he now gets by the smoking 78 of Kyle Pearson. This is going to hand the lead over to Chuck Johnson. Johnson going for his second win in a row in what is becoming another race of survival. Roy Warren would have picked up second place had his car not broken down on him in turn 1. So now it's going to be Alexa Lake in the 26 picking up that second spot. So our 1-2 is looking very similar to last week, albeit much more spread out. Running in third would be Mariano Zavala in the number 61 M&J Racing entry. He started 5th and has kept his nose clean all day. The best battle on track is for 4th between Kenny George, Packer Carroll, and Zach Webster. Carroll and Webster peel into the pit lane, and Carroll beats Kenny George out, so he's going to claim the 4th spot now. Bob Steffens in the 7 now joins the fight, but coming into Station 5, trying to catch Packer Carroll, Steffens spins off the road, and that's Mariano Zavala, who has gone off the road just ahead of him. So that's going to be 2 free spots for Packer Carroll and company. But here comes Kenny George with a run on Packer Carroll for what will now be 3rd. Kenny George's tires are 1 lap fresher than Packer Carroll's, and he's making great use of that. But Carroll isn't making it easy, as he has a great exit off of that corner, side by side with Kenny George. But Carroll's going to slide a little bit, and Kenny George will clear him for 3rd. And now George will start chasing down second place Alexa Lake. George is one of the fastest cars on track right now, looking to snap a 5-race DNF streak, and he's eventually going to catch Alexa Lake heading into Canada corner. Not much that the 26 can do, but watch the 50 go on by. So George moves up into second, but there's no way he's going to catch Chuck Johnson, who just had to run his own race after inheriting the lead. He comes up the hill, down the front stretch, and will take his second victory in a row here at Road America. Bob Steffens managed to recover and get around Packer Carroll for 4th in the closing laps, but Mariano Zavala failed to do the same after his off-course excursion. He fell to 8th. Kevin Monroe and Billy Bob Childers round out the top 10. Next up, double points are on the line once again as we head to Indianapolis Raceway Park for the 3rd of the Master Spark 4 Crown events. Kevin Monroe took his second Prolapse pole of the year over the expanded 42-car field. He leads down into turn number 1, but Lev Azarov is going to have a much better exit, powering around the outside of Monroe and grabbing the lead for himself. But we'd have a quick caution on lap 6. Kyle Pearson goes around off of turn number 4. Back underway now. Bob Steffens coming after Lev Azarov for the lead. Monroe has dropped to 3rd as Steffens now takes over the top spot. But Lev Azarov won't give up, taking advantage of Steffens hitting the wall to take the lead back. He almost gets wrecked himself, but keeps it straight. Now he gets stuck behind the 500 of Hunter Johnson. Steffens back to the lead now. But now, working lap 30, we have a new challenger for the lead. Billy Bob Childers, who started 7th. He powers around Bob Steffens without too much difficulty. But as this green flag run gets longer, the more that lapped cars start to become a challenge, as you just saw him nearly get taken out by the 83 of Ashley Tucker. Zach Webster's moved up to second, but he's stuck behind a traffic jam. Very slow into turn 3. Hunter Blaze not paying much attention and running right into the back of the 41. Lap 66, Bob Steffens drops out of the race after getting back into second and chasing down Billy Bob Childers. That is not how he's going to get back into the points fight, especially in a double points race like this one. Meanwhile, Xander Massey gets into the turn 4 wall and goes around, bringing out a not unwanted caution, as the leaders are going to use this opportunity to get some much-needed fresh tires. Billy Bob Childers continues to lead. Liam O'Connor has moved up into second. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson is now third. Liam O'Connor goes for the lead now. The Power Steering Incorporated development driver comes from a road racing background, but so far, he's getting it done here on the short track. But he'd soon fall into the clutches of Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, making it 3 wide with the lapped car of Rick Forrest. Not as much banking on the inside of these corners here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, but Billy Ray Smith-Thompson makes it work and takes over the lead. Power Surge America teammates tangle with the lapped car of Bobby Dwyer. Keegan Mallory in the 36 also gets collected. We haven't seen Harry Asinola in a while. He's up to 5th in the number 45 third entry for Pearson Sweeney Motorsports in his first race back after the Phantom race in the American Southwest that we are very reluctant to speak about. Liam O'Connor has a problem from second. He drops to the inside very slowly, and he will lose several laps in the pit lane. So there goes O'Connor's chance to win this one. Meanwhile, Lev Azarov has come back to life, challenging Billy Ray Smith-Thompson as we enter the last third of this race. But Smith-Thompson is still putting up a fight, and not even the 251 of Mark Thompson is going to stop him from getting back around the 82. Azarov must be losing the handling on that car, running the inside. And in another stroke of misfortune for Azarov, he's now stuck behind the 64 of Xander Massey, letting even more cars go by and losing a ton of time to the leaders. But we're going to get a caution as Barry Spangler tangles with Monica Rook and goes around in turn 4. 16 laps to go now. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson leads over Harry Asinola, Kevin Monroe, and Lev Azarov. Monroe challenging Inola for second. Like Azarov, he has faded a bit in the middle of the race, but has now come back to life. The 46 of Chuck Johnson is a lap down, not a factor, but still running up there with the leaders. Monroe sets his sights on the 2, but now gets stuck behind the 00 of Bobby Dwyer. Barry Spangler in the 55 is back on track, but fortunately he stays out of the way for the most part. And now his teammate Xander Massey is going to bring out a late race caution, running very slowly in turn 3 and getting run over by the 66 of Todd Stater. We would have time for a 1-lap shootout. Not a whole lot of time for Billy Ray Smith-Thompson's rivals to pounce, and he holds off Kevin Monroe to take the low dollar high stakes 150 and the double points that go along with it. Todd Stater, despite being involved in the last caution, would finish 5th. He started all the way back in 28th, so he would collect the hard charger bonus. Alexa Lake brings home another great finish. Danica Hollifield collects her first top 10 since Langhorne. Monica Rook finishes 9th, and Timothy Ruiz rounds out the top 10, recovering nicely from his accident at Road America. And now we head back up to Wisconsin for the Smash Beer 1 for the Road 100 at the Milwaukee Mile. For the second time this year, Roy Warren leads the field to the green flag. Kenny George on his outside. The M&J teammates of Rick Head and Austin Howard make up row 2. Kenny George makes a challenge around the outside, but he washes up the track off a turn 2. Roy Warren keeps the lead for now. It's been a stunningly poor weekend for Power Surge America so far. Billy Bob Childers failed to qualify for the race, leaving Jim Kidd as their only entry, but Kidd is stuck in 20th at the beginning of this race. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson going for the lead back in the Smash Beer colors in Smash Beer's home race. So Smith-Thompson's got a little extra incentive to follow up on his victory last week, but he's starting to wash up the track in turn 3. Here comes Timothy Ruiz in the 112. Ruiz started 15th. He's now made his way up into the lead, coming to start lap 11. but he's not showing too much patience for the lapped cars, getting into the back of Farrell Burgundy, but he gets around the 4 car, trapping his rivals for the time being. Lev Azarov with another strong start, challenges Zach Webster for 2nd place as they try to chase down the 112. Webster gets a good run back around the outside of turn 4, but Azarov's gonna get the spot as they come up on the lapped car of Tom Brayton. Lap 31, Lev Azarov has chased down race leader Timothy Ruiz. Harrison Belcher in the 28, thankfully not interfering with his teammate, but all the other lapped cars are certainly going to be a factor. Timothy Ruiz gets shoved out of line as Azarov follows the 153 of Dan Meato through to the lead. Just like at IRP, long green flag runs means lots of lapped cars to navigate through, but the action is going to be interrupted by Kevin Monroe blowing an engine from 6th and coming to a stop on the backstretch. After a round of pit stops, Zach Webster has moved up into 2nd as Ruiz has dropped back a little bit, but he certainly hasn't lost any speed. The 112 is still running in 3rd place and now trying to chase the leaders back down. David Bloom's got a problem in turn 3, almost coming to a stop, and several cars are going to take to the grass to get by, including race leader Lev Azarov. That's not a good idea because his lead is now going to evaporate. There goes Zach Webster and Timothy Ruiz. Azarov almost gets wrecked, cutting across the nose of the 06. No caution for any of this, and now the battle for the lead is on between the 112 and the 41. So now Ruiz ends up back in the lead, thanks to David Bloom blocking the track and almost causing a huge wreck. But now we've got another caution for Truman Ellison coming to a stop at the exit of turn 2. An unscheduled stop for Billy Ray Smith-Thompson under this yellow is going to put him a couple of laps down. Ruiz leads on the restart, washing up into the 64 of Rick Head through turn 1, but still holding off the 41 of Zach Webster. Lap 79, Austin Howard and Hunter Blaze get together, battling for 7th. Packer Carroll gets caught up as well, so that's both of the Gravity Racing cars swept up in this one. A lot of credit is due to these drivers for running a very, very clean race. It took 80 laps for a crash to bring out the yellow. But now Roy Warren's got some problems after making his way back up into 2nd. An unscheduled stop puts him back to the tail end of the lead lap as Ruiz leads over Lev Azarov with just 15 laps to go. Liam O'Connor in car 48 up to 3rd place. No mechanical troubles to keep him out of a top 5 run towards the end of this race. And here comes Lev Azarov with a run on Timothy Ruiz for the race lead. These have easily been the 2 fastest cars of the night, and they're duking it out towards the end, but Lev Azarov just a little bit faster. Jim Kidd had a very slow start in trying to avenge his teammates D and Q, but now he's up to 4th, trying to hold off Zach Webster for that spot, though. He really left the door open for the 41, but still, Jim Kidd has run a very good race and clawed his way up to the top 5. But now Monica Rook has come to a stop in turn 1. She's gotten hit by the 113 of Aaron Coltier, and that brings out a late race caution. Lev Azarov has his lapped teammate of Harrison Belcher to act as a cushion between himself and the 112. Ruiz gets around the 28 and makes a lunge at Lev Azarov, coming through the final corner, but it's not going to be enough. Lev Azarov is going to come to the line to take his 2nd win of the season. Lev Azarov also grabbed the hard charger bonus, starting from all the way back in 19th. So your top 3, Azarov, Ruiz, and Kidd, came from the middle of the pack. And Ruiz really deserves a shout out for punching well above his weight this season. This is his 3rd top 5 with such a small team. I won't at all be surprised if he wins a race before the end of this season. Moving on, Austin Howard finishes 5th despite that late race wreck. Kelly Splice in 6th. Rick Forrest finally puts another good run together, finishing 7th. The Ike Durbin teammates, Roy Warren and Riley Durbin, 8th and 9th, and Packer Carroll finishes 10th. Now on to the point standings. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson now leads by 75 points over Zach Webster. Kevin Monroe sits 3rd. He is the only driver in the top 10 without a win so far this year. Lev Azarov 4th. Rick Forrest back to 5th. Jim Kidd 6th. Chuck Johnson and Bob Steffens are tied for 7th, but Johnson, with 2 wins, gets the tiebreaker over Steffens' single win. And Hunter Blaze is the top performing rookie over Roy Warren, despite missing Road America. Next up for the FARC Lowe Dollar Series will be 4 consecutive races in the state of Illinois, starting with the Arnold Pine Auto Sales 100 at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. And as always, you can catch the highlights right here on the FARC Racing Network.